I define Liga MX as the shoot your shot league.
You do expect higher performances and better things from Club Americas, but it's the inconsistencies.
Isn't this inconsistent though?
I will maintain that the U.S. men's national team came out to the knockout round despite terrible coaching.
Like they have a student discount maybe to go to Pumas games? Like they got it, right?
No.
To take that next step, I think it's still undisputed that you have to go to Europe.
He's going to be on the ground for the majority of the time. No,
I
look back at highlights.
That's the Christian Pulisic treatment, though.
Same.
We're going to have to stop this. We're going to start arguing on this podcast, aren't we? Welcome back to the Real Futbol Show. I'm Geno Gonnello, along with guess who's back? Edwin Garcia. He joins us again as we do not have Lizzie this week, and we probably will not have Lizzie for a little bit now as she's, bogged down with a bunch of other stuff, trying to continue to kill it with the content she's creating over on the editorial side of things. Make sure you check out her articles on 90min.com/US. You can find all of her work there. She will be with us, here and there over the next few podcasts and whatnot. But for the moment and for the foreseeable future, it will be me and Edwin. So if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to deal with us.
This is my, you don't like that face. I go like this. You're going to have to see this all the time. Yeah. You don't like it. You just listen to it,
Yeah. Just so you can cover our faces. That's really, we just need the views, really. That's really all that matters. Yes, Edwin joins us again after a 2-week killer outing by him. We've tabbed him in to warm the seat and keep the seat warm for Lizzie. Edwin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's game day. It's game day. We got a game tonight.
It is game day. We do have a big game tonight.
Yeah. And I like that it's a late game for us on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I enjoy the late games and kicking back. I feel like I get more of an enjoyment out of it when the 10:30 or 10 o'clock kickoff time for us. That to me, I just sit back, watch. Once the game's over, I'm like, all right, time to relax, go to sleep. So, but yeah, I'm excited to be back. Excited to be here for a little while longer. Let's see how long Lizzie needs. But big thank you for you guys for letting me be on here, and I'm looking forward to making more great stuff here together, man. So let's have a great show. Let's continue to do some cool stuff here, and Ben, we're talking footy, man. We're talking footy. I'm not going to complain. So, and if you are, I'm sorry.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's good. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and yeah, like we've said, we're gonna miss Lizzie on the show for the time being, but it won't be the last you see of her. She will be here from time to time. She'll fill in on segments for the moment, and then whenever she can get back and do a full time and commit to that, she will. But again, make sure you follow all of her content, 90min.com US, as well as on the social channels, which are listed below my face and below Edwin's face.
Yeah, right.
Make sure you check that out because there's just a lot of good stuff going on there. So make sure you catch all of it on those on those channels. But as Edwin mentioned, we have a big game tonight, USA versus Mexico in the very first edition of the All-State Continental Clásico. It is a friendly of sorts. I'm not honestly, I'm not really sure what the reasoning is behind putting this on. I think it's more just to make sure we get a Mexico-US matchup every single year and showcase the talent that both sides have. We do it already in the club level. We got the Leagues Cup. We have, had the All-Star matchups between Liga MX and Club America and the MLS. But now we're going to get it at the national team level with the U.S. versus Mexico. And with that said, let's take a look real quick, and let's start with the U.S. men's national team. This is the roster from the U.S. men's national team. As you can see, it's a very MLS-heavy side. Just Serginho Dest, who is not obviously not an MLS player. He's coming from Europe. And then Joshua Winder is coming from the USL. He plays for Louisville City. So those are, I think, the only two on the roster that will not be from the MLS. There were a couple changes.
We have Senora too, who's Senora, who's Sonora. Sorry, and I'm the Hispanic guy, and I butchered the name there.
who is from Liga MX. So
But
he
it's
actually plays
North
for
America.
Juarez, a young player. So a different sort of roster than we're typically used to seeing. There are a couple names on this roster that will not be actually on the U.S. men's national team roster tonight. Paul Arriola and Christian Roldan were withdrawn in favor of Paxton Pamukal now. So I believe he will replace Roldan for the moment. So that is the one change. But as I mentioned, an MLS heavy roster. Edwin, your thoughts on this U.S. men's national team roster, just from the look of it?
From looking at it, we finally get a proper MLS versus Liga MX all-star game here with so many teams represented, we're gonna get a good feel for what MLS has to offer. I like it. I don't understand why we're having this game, to be honest with you. Like we're saying, what's it called again? The All-State something.
It's the All-State Continental Classico, I think it's called. I think that's the correct.
Yeah. All-State Classico. I mean, the ACC, I guess, if we want to abbreviate it here.
ASCC.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think it's all right. It's good. I think it's more a product of the fact that USA, Canada, and Mexico already qualified for the World Cup. So it's like we got filler. We need some juicy games to excite people, to get people tuned in the build up to the World Cup. So I guess this is one of those products of it. The unfortunate thing is that the teams won't look like this at all come, World Cup time, but it's still, man, it's funny, man. You get anytime you have USA versus Mexico, it's must-see TV. Tensions and emotions are going to be up. Everything's going to be excited. Nobody wants to lose to the other. Whether you're on the Liga MX side or you're on the U.S. men's national team side, you don't want to lose to the other. So it's gonna be good. I'm excited for it. Like I said, I'm gonna tune in. I'm gonna watch, and I'm gonna have a very keen eye. I'm gonna be looking and seeing who stands out, who makes the moves here. Because at the end of the day, this is also an opportunity for a lot of guys. Some of these guys, this might be their only time. There might be somebody here this might be his only game that he plays on this squad, or the only time that he gets called up. So let's see if they make the best of it.
Yeah, and just if you look at they have the numbers there, caps and goals. This is gonna be the first. This is the first. I think the first call up for both Drake Callender and Roman Celentano. Yep. Same with Joshua Winder, and same with Caleb Wiley, and then Aiden Morris, who has been very good for Columbus. This will be his second call up, I believe. So a lot of young talent that can make a name for themselves in this one. We'll get to that in a little bit, but before we do that, let's take a look real quick at the Mexican national team roster, which I'm going to pull up right now. And here we go. This is the Mexican national team roster. If you guys can see that. So they have, again, a Liga MX heavy roster. The only non-Liga MX player is Julian Araujo from Barcelona, who obviously, as we all know, used to play in MLS. I also believe, and I have to confirm this because I'm pretty sure this is the case, but I believe Henry Martin is no longer with the Mexican national team. So I believe there may be a replacement for him. So that's the one correction on this roster. That was from the Mexican national team Twitter account. But again, for you, Edwin, a look at this roster, what stands out?
Yeah, actually, it's Henry Martin and Roberto Alvarado. I don't know if he's on that list there as well. Yeah, they're both have dropped out of the roster. Again, it's very similar, even with the addition of a European player here in Araujo. It's like mirror images of the two, because on the U.S. men's national team, you have Serginho Dest, who's playing the same position, coming over from another European team in Milan to play for U.S. men's national team tonight. So you get a little bit of both. I think there's going to be a lot of parity, which hopefully will lead to really good action on the pitch. I want to see some goals scored. Give me a nice little, 3-2 U.S. win here, something like that, something along the lines. That's where I would look forward to. But the roster itself, it's again, it's a who's who of Liga MX, just like the U.S. men's national team is a who's who of Major League Soccer, which, when you really think about it, is exactly what you want. It's a proper all-star game. You know what I mean? We're gonna finally get. I think there's definitely, even though this might not be a big event or something that's well known, there's gonna be a lot of bragging rights here. Whoever does pull this off, and if it's convincing one side or the other, there's gonna be some really good bragging rights here for each league at the end of this. So we'll see. And coach is looking pretty jacked there. I don't know about that. I mean, if you're putting the coach on the reveal here of your roster, like he's got the guns out and everything. Diego's looking nice, man. Good for him.
Yeah, it's again, it's like you said, it's a glorified Liga MX versus MLS All-Star game on a national team level, essentially.
Yep.
Just a really good opportunity for a lot of young kids. That's what we're seeing here. A good opportunity for some guys to make a name for themselves. Obviously, you have some players who have been with the Mexican national team, the Luis Chavez's of the world, Oriel Antuna, Alexis Vega, all have been with the Mexican national team. But it's an opportunity for players like Julian Araujo, who has not been featured as part of the Mexican national team on multiple occasions up to this point, to make a name for themselves. Carlos Acevedo, Malagon, which there is going to be a goalkeeper battle coming up at the next World Cup. Because I don't believe Memo Ochoa is going to be the Mexican national team goalkeeper again. So they're moving on now. They're moving to the next step. So there's going to be a competition at goalkeeper. And so it's an opportunity for a lot of these players to make a name for themselves. So with that said, let's start with the Mexican national team. You go first, Edwin. I'll say mine afterwards. Name one player from this Mexican national team that could see their national team status boosted or improved because of a good performance tonight.
I'll give you that, and I'll give you also. When I really think about it, the Henry Martin not being there, it because he's such a star in Liga MX is, it's unfortunate. You really wanted to see him there because you really get that full complete squad. But I think the guy who the spotlight's going to be on him and could really boost and solidify himself as a regular, for me, it's got to be Julian Araujo coming in, doing the big move, leaving MLS, going to Barcelona, all the delays and everything that happened to finally get there. And he's been, waiting for his time. I don't think he's had an appearance yet on the main roster, on the first team, but this is it. You said he's never really been consistently picked on the Mexican national team, but now you're coming in as the Barcelona guy. Who else is a Barcelona guy in Mexico? Rafa Marquez, who's a national hero. You got a lot of there's a big shadow cast over everybody else when the Barcelona guy comes in, as opposed to these, Liga MX guys. So I think if he can handle that and do a good showing, I think he's going to have the most to gain out of this.
Yeah, for me, I think I mentioned it a little bit already, but I think it's the goalkeeping situation, and I think it's probably Carlos Acevedo if he gets the opportunity in that tonight.
Yeah,
if he's the number one, I think he has the biggest opportunity to make a big statement for himself, because Malagon is a little bit younger, I believe. He's kind of the prodigy. He's at Club America. He's just the next best thing, the next in line, I feel like, for a lot of people. But if Carlos Acevedo gets a start tonight and can really prove himself in a big match against the United States, I think that could mean good things for him moving forward. A player who did not get brought along on the Mexican national team's trip to the World Cup, but now is going to have an opportunity here to really make a name for himself. So Carlos Acevedo is the name that sticks out for me there. I'll ask you the same question for the U.S. men's national team. Name one player on the U.S. men's national team who is going to make a name for themselves or can boost their national team status with the performance tonight.
See, I like the Acevedo pick. That was my number 2 pick. I really do think. I know Lizzie's a big fan of his, and Santos is like her quiet number 2 team. So I know that she'll be rooting for the guy. Now I'm taking that mentality that you just had and applying it to the U.S. men's national team. And Drake Callender's my guy. Looking at the goalies here, Sean Johnson probably might get the nod here because of the experience and everything. But if there's a guy who can come in who's hot right now, who's really playing well, and is the only good thing down here in Miami that we got going on right now, is Drake Callender. finally getting his first call up. This could be a make or break. He could come in here, play really well, and then stay on their radar and maybe continue to get some caps. Or if not, they obviously what's in front of him, I think, is a bigger wall than what's in front of Acevedo, in the fact that we have Slonina and we have the other man, Matt Turner, who I don't know if he's going to be around for the next one, but he's always going to be in consideration. There's the wall of goalies on the U.S. men's national team is a little bigger than what Acevedo's facing, where Acevedo he's a little further up the pecking order. But I think this is still a great thing for Drake Callender because he's a young guy who last season, I believe, was the third string goalie at Inter Miami at one point. He wasn't supposed to be in this position. To see this trajectory and see this rise that he's been on is really good. And for me, it's a personal pick. I've met the guy, I've talked to him. He's a nice guy. And I hope he seizes the opportunity tonight because I think it could really be a good catalyst for him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think every time you talk about the U.S. men's national team, it's always going to go, for me, to the number 9. I mean, it's always going to go to who is going to fill that role. And Brandon Vasquez has been off to a rough start in MLS so far this season. So I think this game could really help him. And again, it's only one match, but you need to prove yourself on the biggest stages. And this is a big stage. And this is the real first big test for Brandon Vasquez I think in this new World Cup cycle for him as we look for number 9. There's a couple other players on the team that could benefit, but the problem is they sit in certain spots where, like you mentioned, there's a bit of a wall. Yeah. The Caleb Wiley's of the world. Caleb Wiley's a very interesting player. He has the ability to play left back, left wing. I don't know if he plays on the right side, and that's where I see him. If he could play on the right side, you'd be like, okay, this is a spot where he can prove himself. He can play on that right side. Then there's so much up in the air about who is that right back right now, with Serginho Dest not being phenomenal in that area, not locking it down, whereas Anthony Robinson, I think, is just the left back of the future at the current moment.
Absolutely.
So there's not a lot of space for him on that left side, whereas the right side would be a little bit easier. And of course, Cade Cowell would be another name. But again, blocked by the supreme talent that the United States have in those winger positions and on those outside positions. So for me, it's Brandon Vasquez. He can make a name for himself. If he goes out and he scores a couple goals, and he can continue to show consistency at this level. He already has 2 caps, 1 goal. A third cap with another goal would be just another step in the right direction for determining who the number 9 for this team is. Again, it's early. Anthony Hudson is currently the coach. He will probably not be the coach when the time comes in the summer when they make a decision. But this is still an opportunity for Brandon Vasquez to make a name for himself. So definitely a big opportunity for him against again, he mentioned it once again, has not been contacted by the Mexican national team. So his focus is entirely on the U.S. And if he can make a name for himself here, go a long way with the U.S. men's national team and their staff. So
100%. I was going to be my pick. I kind of had a feeling you might go that way. So I was like, you know what? This is a chance I get to, go support the home team here. So that's why I went with Callender. But yeah, for all the same reasons, I would have picked Vasquez too. This is his 3rd cap coming up tonight. He's got the 1 goal, has struggled to get his goal scoring footing going in Major League Soccer. And if there is a position, if you ask 10 U.S. men's national teams fans out there what they want to see, they want goals, they want to see us lock down that number 9 position, which was our biggest question mark in the World Cup. If Brandon Vasquez comes out and has that kind of game and puts that ease into a lot of those fans, man, that could be huge for him. He could essentially lock down that position if he has a great game tonight, just on the fan support alone, because we're so desperate to see something with some class and some touch and some quality up at the number 9. So I'm hoping he does well. But yeah, he can definitely he can skyrocket tonight after tonight.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we do mention again, this is only one game and it's a friendly. And it's a friendly early in the World Cup.
It's never friendly. It's never friendly.
It's never
friendly. Balls. People are going to throw balls. It's going to be
I mean, I'm sure that the fans will take it very seriously. But from a matchup perspective and from the teams on the field, this is a friendly. And it's still early in the World Cup window. So my next question to you is really, I mean, I know we mentioned players who can boost themselves. but how much can we really learn from this? Are we expecting to learn much from this match, or is this just a match that's really being put on? It's U.S. versus Mexico, bragging rights. Hey, like U.S. gets a win, that's great. Mexico gets a win, that's great. And that's that. And we'll, we can't really figure anything else out.
Yeah, we're not going to learn too much. Like we mentioned at the beginning, this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of guys to just punch their ticket for the next one, to be in consideration for the next selection of games. What this team will look like come the next World Cup, it's not gonna be anything like this. It's gonna be a lot of different faces, a lot of different players. There's gonna be guys on there that we haven't even mentioned yet, that are not even on our radar. There's gonna be somebody that can just pop off in the next year or two. With that being said, you still got to take tonight and just enjoy it just for what it is. Seize the opportunity, because no matter if it's a friendly that's non-competitive or in a situation that doesn't look too that looks a little bleak right now, so we don't know what's going to happen later on, you still got to see it's an opportunity, and these guys have to go in there, seize it, play well, and hope for the next selection to come their way. So I think it's going to still be a fun game to watch. Maybe we'll get a nice little moment, where was it Miazga doing the you're too short down here.
Yes.
Something memorable can happen
this week. So I didn't see Diego Lainez on the roster, so I don't think we're gonna get the short.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna get the short from Miazga. It'll be interesting to see him on the team again, though, because this is Miazga is a player who has publicly come out against Greg Berhalter and said, he thinks his relationship, he made a comment. And I know we've mentioned this before, and Lizzie was the one who mentioned it, but he made a comment, and had a suggestion or whatever, and Greg kind of like blacklisted him a little bit. Hasn't been with the U.S. men's national team in a while, so Miazga back in the swing of things, which will be cool. As a Jersey guy, I love to see that. I love to see Jersey guys getting a shot. For me personally, though, I would like it if Anthony Hudson. Okay, maybe trot your best 11 out for the first 45, but let's see the young guys. Let's give Aiden Morris deserves a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal I think Aiden Morris should play the full 90 minutes if possible, because he's been phenomenal for Columbus. Caleb Wiley, very similar. Like, let's give the kids a bit of a chance. I know
Jordan Morris. Get out of my life, Jordan Morris. I don't want to see you play tonight. Just stay on the bench.
Again, there's nothing we can learn from Jordan Morris against against Mexico in this matchup. Mm-hmm. There's nothing we can learn from. Realistically, nothing we can learn from Sean Johnson in this matchup. There's nothing we can learn from Sergio Dest in this matchup. There's nothing we can learn from Aaron Long in this. Like, we've seen these guys before. Let's see Caleb Wiley. Let's see Josh Winder. Let's see James Sands again. Let's see Senora. Yeah. Let's see Aiden Morris. Let's see Cade Cowell. Like, let's see these guys. Let's see what they have in a big moment on a big stage. That's what
Julian Gressel, right? Let's get some Vancouver love in there too.
Gressel, right? Yes, Vancouver, yes. Thank you for that. Man. That's what I want to see from a U.S. men's national team perspective, and same from Mexico. Like, we know what we're getting from Alexis Vega. We know what we're getting from Luis Chavez. We know what we're getting from some of these other guys. But let's see, like you mentioned, Julian Araujo. Let's see some of these younger guys who are on this roster. Some of these guys who haven't got many of the chances. Oriel Antuna, who was a bench player, I think, for the most part in the World Cup. Let's see them get some opportunities in a big match where there's going to be pressure because the fans are going to be there. Like, it's going to be, I'm sure, a packed stadium. Let's see what they have at the highest level of CONCACAF soccer, because that's basically what this is for the most part. Minus, again, it's national team. It's a national team that's not going to feature, Irving Lozano. It's not going to feature Edson Alvarez. It's not going to feature Santiago Jimenez. It's not going to feature Christian Pulisic. It's not going to feature Tyler Adams or Weston McKennie. But it's at this current moment in this window, it's the highest level of soccer you're going to play right now, or highest level of competition that you're going to play right now in CONCACAF. So it's a big moment for them.
100% agree. I think that should be the thinking here. Now, I got to play devil's advocate here, though. Here's the problem that we run into when we go 100% into let's get these guys play. Let's give them all their opportunity. Let's not put in our Sean Johnson. Let's not put in our multi-cap guys. You're going to run into two problems. One, these guys that have been capped multiple times, they don't want to just come and not do anything. They still want to play. It's Mexico. They're going to want that. So how do you balance that as an interim coach? How do you make sure that you get enough playing time for the guys that do want to be here versus, the guys that you want to see have an opportunity? And then what happens if you skew too much one way or the other, and then the game starts getting out of hand? Because that we're just talking from a perspective of U.S. men's national team here. But if you skew too much to the young guys, let's say Brandon Vasquez, Cade Cole will come in, and we have them up there, but they're not performing. They're just having a bad game and everything. Like, do we yank them too early? Do we let them play too long? This is going to be a challenge.
In my opinion, Anthony Hudson should say this. There's going to be an 11 that plays the first 45. That will be a mix of the best players that we have and a few, like Aiden Morris, Brandon Vasquez, maybe Cade Cowell, and that's it. Like, let's just say those three players. And then in the second 45, we'll see a switch in certain things. Because, again, it's a friendly. We need to learn some things in this as much as we can, But I agree with you. We can't play. You can't just say, okay, like, let's start with Caleb Wiley, Josh Winder in the back, Aiden Morris in the middle, Brandon Vasquez up top, Cade Cowell on the way. Like, you can't just do that.
I'll do it if it's FIFA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's my game. I'm going to do that.
Like, let's split it up. Put a mix of vets with a few young guys in the first half, a mix of vets with a few young guys in the second half, and let's see how they perform. So I would imagine, that's, again, for both these guys. I mean, Coca and Hudson, it's a match where, you're not really getting a full look at what your potential is. This is a match where it's just like, okay, let's just see if we can go out in there and win this one. So a final question on this before we wrap this up. How do you see this one playing out tonight between the U.S. men's national team and Mexico?
If I'm Hudson, I'm going to lean into some of these young guys. I'm not going to I will take that risk. I just understand that there's, if this doesn't work out, it could be, the backlash could be pretty harsh. But I'm going to lean into him. I really feel like Vasquez is on the cusp, man. I like Cole, but I feel like Vasquez is on that cusp. He's been just waiting. I don't know what's going on with FC Cincinnati. We're going to talk about him coming up here in a bit. But I feel like he's just on the verge, and I think tonight could be that catalyst that starts pushing him into that direction, because he's so talented. He has all the skills. He's played 2 games with the U.S. He's got 1 goal. I think tonight he's going to add his third or his second goal, maybe his third as well. Why not? Let's give him a brace. But I think USA will. I'll go like a 3-1 USA. Give me 3 goals. Give me a brace from Vasquez, man. It's gonna be the little cut down later. Me predicting exactly what happened.
I am going to go a little bit in the opposite direction. I'm going to say it's going to be kind of a boring match. I would imagine we might get some excitement towards the end, but I'm going to say 1-1 is how this one plays out. I think we do get some exciting, plays and exciting moments from some of the younger guys on both sides. But I think overall, again, this is a friendly. This is a moment for us to learn something about some of the younger players, but not really a moment where we're getting. I think in the end, the goal is to get everybody back to their respective squads healthy. And I think we'll see that towards the last 15 minutes, maybe the last 15 minutes, maybe last 10 minutes, we'll see some uptick in that, an uptick in excitement. But for the most part, I think the goal is just to get everybody back healthy. And so I think we'll see a 1-1 draw and share of the spoils, as they say.
Nice. By the way, for those wondering, the game is going to be on TBS, Universal, Telemundo Television Network, and it's 10 p.m. Eastern kickoff tonight from the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So.
Yes, where the Arizona Cardinals play football. So,
so change the name. Okay.
Yes. So that's where it's going to be. We're going to move on now to MLS, because we do need to talk about MLS because there's a lot that happened this weekend. With that said, I will start, of course, with El Trafico. We have to start with El Trafico. It is the big matchup that was this weekend. We had Cascadia Cup, which we'll talk about as well. But El Trafico happened, and we'll start before El Trafico because I want to talk about this. We've been talking about Chris Klein a lot, and he did release a statement this season, or just before this match, to the season ticket members. This is off of Twitter, on his actions and what will happen if the team doesn't reach its goal. So I'm going to pull that up right here and share that right now so you can see it as well, Edwin. But it basically says here, and I'm going to read it right here. It says, LA Galaxy season ticket members, I love the Galaxy. The most important part of the club is the people who are involved every day, who share the same passion that I do. Our staff, our players, and everyone at AEG work tirelessly to give you a club that you can feel a part of and be proud of. I uphold the values established by those who came before me, those who are here now, and those who will carry the club into the future. This includes accountability for the results on the field. When we hired Greg Vanney at the end of the 2020 season, he had a plan to build out the soccer operations for our club, and he laid out a 5-year plan to build the LA Galaxy into a club that compete for championships year in and year out. This plan included making the playoffs in 2022 and advancing in the playoffs in 2023. I believe in what we are building and in the people who are building it. However, if we fall short of our goals this year, I will step aside as president of the club that I so dearly love. This was my commitment to Dan Beckerman and AEG when I agreed to my extension, and I stand behind that promise. Chris Klein. So that is the sorry, as I pull this over here. That is the statement from Chris Klein. Your thoughts on this statement, Edwin?
Wow. Definitely different. Definitely something that if I was a Galaxy season ticket holder, I wouldn't be expecting at that time leading into the big game. It kind of seems like I feel like, depending on how you spin it, it could be an exit strategy already, or like, hey, give me more time. I feel like it goes both ways. Like, oh, I'm already making excuses or saying, I'm going to eliminate myself and get myself out of the picture. Or, hey, I'm really trying here and I need a little bit more time. This is why where we're at, and this is where we're trying to get to. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I feel like it could go both ways. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about what the Galaxy supporters' sentiment is towards Chris Klein prior to this. If they feel like he's primarily to blame, but just taking it on the surface, if you're an objective, nonpartisan, entity here, you're just looking at this. Seems like a guy who's really trying to be transparent, trying to put everything out there and show people that, hey, we're trying, but that's also a sign of a club that's not performing well, not doing what was expected of them, and also a little unbecoming that you have to do something like that. And like, hey man, I know we hound on you as fans, but when you come out there, it's also kind of like a sign of weakness. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I listen, the Galaxy fans have been on Chris Klein's back since the beginning of the season. Since before the beginning of the season, they've been all over him, and I think maybe releasing a statement was a good idea, but either way he went about it is probably not the best words that he could have used. Laying out a 5-year plan. We want to win championships year in, year out. You mentioned this last week. The Galaxy is a team that wins championships year in, year out. They're the winningest club in MLS history, I think. So
yeah, it's
like, that should already be your goal. That shouldn't be a 5-year plan that needs to be laid out for you by a coach that you're hiring. And on top of that, the plan, including making the playoffs in 2022 and just advancing further in 2023, like why? Like, that's just not, in my opinion, not a far enough goal to reach. Like, if you're going to make the playoffs and like, okay, we're going to make the playoffs in 2022, and then in 2023, we're going to get to the second round of the playoffs, and then 2024, we're going to get to the semifinals. It's like, that's like, once you're in the playoffs, the goal should be winning. Once you're in the playoffs, the goal should be winning MLS Cup. And it feels like the words that he used in this weren't exactly the best words he could have used, and it showed. I mean, the LA Galaxy supporters flew a plane that said Chris Klein out on it, I believe it was, during El Trafico on Saturday. So his relationship with the fans is not great right now.
No, not good at all. Not good at all. And I just, to me, it's when I really, now that you framed it like that, yeah, we're talking about one of those elite clubs that we're talking about last week. You know, those Seattles, those LAFC where they're in now. And I guess this is just, man, adding more fuel to the fire in the sense that the Galaxy is just bad week for them, bad times.
It's really bad for them right now.
It's
very bad.
as close to rock bottom as you can get right now as a Galaxy fan. You still don't have a win. You lost to your little brother at home for the first time. They are the defending champs. You have guys that you've signed in here like Chicharito, Ricky Puig, Douglas Costa, some who've panned out, some who have not. And you're underperforming in every aspect, and you're getting outshined and outclassed by everybody. Like, wow, this is rock bottom. Congratulations, LA Galaxy. You've reached Inter Miami status. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, they're in rough shape right now. I mean, it was not good going in this match, and as we mentioned, we thought it was going to be kind of LAFC running all over LA Galaxy. It honestly wasn't that. And let's actually get into the match part of things.
Yeah,
LAFC did win 3-2 over the Galaxy. Vela had 2 goals and an assist. They went up 3-1, couldn't really claw back. Galaxy tried to claw back, couldn't claw back after that. They did get 1 goal and had multiple other opportunities. John McCarthy with a massive save that ended up being a game-winning save for LAFC. But, I think it was a better performance and a better fight from the Galaxy than we've seen all season. But it still ends up with LAFC's first win at Galaxy in their history. So, Edwin, your thoughts on how this one went and how it all played out?
First of all, it props to everybody involved in putting El Trafico together, because this is the game you can circle every time it comes up on the calendar, and you're like, it's going to be a good game. Doesn't matter as rock bottom as we are right now with the Galaxy, they still put up a heck of a fight. They played incredible. The fact that you were into this game up until the very last minute of the game was a testament of the rivalry, always bringing out the best in everybody, whether you're coming in form or out of form, whatever the case is. So in that aspect, it delivered. It absolutely delivered. But it also delivered and showed that LAFC is just still elevating, still getting better. Carlos Vela with, I believe it was his 11th and 12th goals against the Galaxy in his career, which is phenomenal number.
Yeah,
but Tyler Boyd, what a banger right before the half to tie it up. Oh, screamer from out there. Even though McCarthy did get some fingertips on it, that thing was going in regardless. So it was a heck. You got goals, you got screamers, you got some great play. Ricky Puig started off very sluggish, didn't like it, but then second half really turned it on, hit the post on another screamer that
from a mile out, like longer than Boyd's shot, I think.
Yes. And it was, so you had a little bit of everything. Chicharito whining and complaining and, cursing out other guys on the other team.
Yelling at Costa to shut up for like literally 30 straight seconds, just yelling, shut up to him.
I did like that. But at the end, LAFC just a little better, well coached. But I gotta give some props to Bawanga. It was the 92nd minute, and he was still outrunning guys that had just subbed in. Yeah, that dude has the motor on. That guy is incredible. Like, crazy. He was just burning up and down the pitch all game long. No signs of slowing down. Even though he didn't have a Bawanga moment, he was still smiling. He was still in it. His body language was infectious. It was positive. It's what you want to see. LAFC is just running like a well-oiled machine right now. Galaxy, you saw some glimpses of it when they, when certain things happen. Maybe a little, if Ricky Puig's shot goes in, might have a little different outcome here. Might have been a 3-3 game. Maybe that second goal doesn't come in.
Shots doesn't get saved. It's 3,
Yes.
That was a ridiculous save. He was in on that. I thought he was scoring for sure. I was like confident he was scoring. And
who made the pass to Chicharito?
It was Puig. It was Puig.
Incredible pass. Just the vision on that really shows his class, and his quality as a player was fantastic. But at the end, set piece doomed them. They couldn't stop the corner with the Hollingshead header. It was textbook, easy. They didn't really sweat on that play. The bad penalty cost them. Vela converted. I love Taylor Tolman on the broadcast was like, oh, Vela likes to go left side on the goalie pretty much every time, and that's exactly what happened in the goalie dove right.
Exactly did it and went the other way, which you got to study there, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, man.
But I think I think it was Mavanga who went out injured in the I think he was injured in the 60 something minute or something like that. It was like right before the penalty, and Koulibaly came on. Yeah. And from that moment on, for like the next 10, 15 minutes, they were a bit of a mess, the Galaxy. That's when the penalty happened. That's when the corner kick happened, which if you watch the corner kick, and I watched this specifically to see who had Hollingshead because he was literally wide open on the corner.
Yeah.
Delgado had him and just literally stood in his same exact spot, just like looking and watching him do whatever he wanted to do. And it's like, the defensive issues continue to hurt the Galaxy. They have a big problem. And they looked good defensively for a lot of the first half and a bit of the second half. But once it got to the point where the injury happened and they put in Koulibaly, they struggled. And their defensive struggles let them down again. And so that's a big issue. But again, they showed good fight, which is good. My question to you, as you mentioned him already, Riqui Puig. What are your thoughts? What were your thoughts? I mean, you mentioned a little bit, but let's focus in on a little bit. Your thoughts on his performance and kind of, was this a breakout game for him in this season? A game that could bounce out into, better performances down the road? What were your thoughts on him as a whole in this one?
I think soccer, football, or the Real Futbol Show, we're going to keep it football here. I think football is an interesting dynamic, that how luck is such a strong part of any game. So with Riqui Puig's performance, I thought he was on the cusp of having that game. I really think if that shot had gone in, that was the moment, scoring a screamer like that, getting the team back at home, motivating, inspiring, doing all these things, because he was playing really well up until that point. He was playing really, really well. He was a factor. He was a pest on the pitch, but he still hasn't had his moment. And the other thing that when I start thinking about his performance and the Galaxy in general, it's luck, man. It's legit luck. Think about it. That shot, an inch, to the right, goes in, right? Another little inch, it ricochets, it goes in. That we're having a whole nother discussion. The Carlos Vela's first goal was actually deflected. They did what they needed to do, right? But what happened? Luck. The ball rolled right out to Carlos Vela on his left foot from the right angle, and he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, easy, boom," upper 90, goal, no problem. So you do see luck playing a factor in this, but luck, you don't know which way it's going to be. You don't know who it's going to help out on any given day. It was more fortunate and more helpful for LAFC this weekend in this El Trafico, but Puig, man, on the cusp. I've said it since last season. He could be the most important signing and the biggest signing that MLS has ever had, because he's not the older, guy on the tail end of his career coming to Major League Soccer. He's a guy coming from, Barcelona of all places, with all the pedigree, all the credentials to be a star, where you could make the argument just was not getting the opportunity over there and could have gone to a number of other teams and instead chose to come to Major League Soccer. It was a huge get, humongous get. But I still haven't seen it. I'm hoping this is the catalyst. This was probably his best game this season, but we need to still see. He's scratching the surface. Need a little more. I think you'll get there. I hope you'll get there.
Yeah, I think they mentioned this on the broadcast. I think Riqui Puig was best in this match when he was going to the defense, picking up the ball, carrying forward, picking out his passes.
Yep.
When he was in that role where he was kind of just the attacking center midfielder, he was doing nothing. Like literally, like was not involved in the game at all because they were basically just marking him off that. And when he was able to go, or marking him out of the game, when he was able to go and pick the ball up, drag the defender with him, open up spaces and whatnot, turn and find the spaces. That's when he was at his best in this matchup. And that's, I think, what he just needs to do now moving forward. Like he has to be that guy that picks the ball up and transitions the team from defense to offense.
Yeah.
And if he can do that consistently on a consistent basis, that's going to make the Galaxy a much better team. Because I think the other thing is, up until this point, there hasn't been many great runs made by Galaxy players. It's he's had to pick out some crazy passes to, create things. Like now he has Chicharito running in and making runs, and Tyler Boyd, and I think even Delgado was making. I think it was even Delgado who was making some good runs on the outside as well. And he had players to pick balls out to. Up until this point, he hasn't really had that, and now he has players that he can do that with. And now it's just about becoming that central piece and that engine in the midfield that is just back and forth, picks the ball up and transitions the offense and the defense. So if he can do that, or the defense and the offense. So if he can do that, I think that's going to be a big thing for the Galaxy. But if he continues in that role where he's just kind of floating around in like the 10 area and like kind of just as an attacking midfielder, I think that's not doing enough for the Galaxy. And I think he needs to do more. So I think that's a big thing to look out for in coming matches.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on with this match? The 3252 traveled in tremendous support. I mean, they were unbelievable.
Yo, that's I gotta give it up to the 3252. They make the drive very far, all the way out to Carson City. And but they came out strong on the broadcast. I can only imagine what it was like being at the game, but on the broadcast, watching it, it was just that you were hearing them over everybody else. I believe the stadium capacity is somewhere like 20,000, and I think they brought like 2,000 LAFC supporters. So they brought almost their whole entire 3252. They brought in almost everybody. They were rocking louder than everybody all game. Man, again, I don't want to add to the rock bottom that's already LA Galaxy here, but Riot Squad and all these other supporters groups in LA, man, like, yo, y'all got beat on the pitch, you got beat in the stands, and you're getting beat in the front office. It's just bad all around for the Galaxy. I'm sorry, but you guys, you have history. You can rebound from this. Don't get discouraged. You'll find something better. You can still improve. The season is young, but right now, just and like in the words of Pedro Martinez, I just gotta bend over and call the LAFC my daddy. That's what it is right now. If you're a Galaxy fan, because it's you got nothing else right now. Hard times for them. These guys came in, they beat you on the pitch, they knocked over your garbage cans, they tore apart your house, and they left. That's what LAFC did there. 32-52. Well done. Impressive. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, really good stuff from the 32-52. That was awesome to see. Away support is I think a big thing that lacks in the MLS. And if you can, and obviously it's a lot not to the fault of the MLS because the United States is so big compared to like England, where England's like a 3-hour drive from south to north. So it's like it's not that that's short, but that's a drive basically for me from like Long Island to like the middle of Connecticut. So like they're next to each other. So it's like
the entire Premier League is in one time zone. We have 4.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like, listen, away support is a hard thing to come by, but seeing the away support at the games that you can have that type of away support is great. So big props to them. This could be a game that catapults the Galaxy. I think it was a good showing, but they need to build off this now, and we'll see if that happens. Another team. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying this was. I don't like moral victories, but if there was a moral victory for the Galaxy, it's like, like I mentioned, if luck had been a little bit different, this could have been a whole different game, and
for sure,
and it could have been worked out better for the Galaxy. But hey, you're down, but you're not out. Still time. Figure it out. Get back on track. So I'm still optimistic.
Yeah, for sure. But a little bit different of a story in the Cascadia Cup. Seattle and Portland, one of the older rivalries in in MLS. One of my favorites. I love the Cascadia Cup. I specifically love the Timber Stadium, so that's probably why. Seattle dominated this one for like 65, 70 minutes. Like basically was like all over the pitch, dominating the match for like 70 minutes. And then Dairon Asprilla had a sick bicycle kick goal, and it flipped the game completely on its head. So, Portland ended up going on and scoring 4 goals in the last 20 minutes of the game. And they win 4-1. They become the first team ever in Cascadia Cup history to win 4 matches in a row. So that was, another big one for them. They maintain bragging rights, I guess you can say. So I will ask you, we've talked about the Galaxy. Let's talk about Portland. Is this the type of win that can catapult Portland's season after a struggling start? Did you see enough, or is this just kind of a luck of 20 minutes where they're going to go back out on Saturday and we're not going to see the same team?
I think with this team, Portland, we mentioned this last week. They're in that elite category. They've separated themselves. They're a prior champion. They do everything right. Incredible home support. They check off all the boxes that you want in an elite club. They're dominating their biggest rival right now in Seattle. This could be the thing. They got off to a slow start. It's only their second win on the season, but again, you save your best performance. The rivalries bring out the best in everybody. It doesn't matter. You can never count them out. Just like you couldn't count out the Galaxy after having not won a game all season. They still came out. They put up a good fight. Portland said, hey, all right, Seattle's getting all this attention, right? But we're still Portland. Come on, get out of here. They got their little Colombian B squad there with Mosquera, Moreno, and Asprilla. They put them all together, and they just took it to Seattle there. Let me see. I got the score sheet here. 71st, 76th, 81st, 89th minute. Unbelievable. It was just bam, 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 bam. And then the bicycle kick. Like, that's the number one goal of the week. Might be the goal of the season right now. You know? It's incredible. Dairon Asprilla. And that's the catalyst. That's what, kickstarted the whole turnaround for Portland. And Mr. Rui Diaz has been quiet this season. He had Seattle up, 1-0 with his 58th minute goal. So
a great goal. It was a great goal too.
Yes.
Really good team goal. Very well worked. Like a very well worked goal. And at that point, I think a lot of people said, okay, Seattle's got this one. They were dominating for 70 minutes. Everybody was like, okay, Seattle's got this one. And then, like you said, Dairon Asprilla just bicycle kick. And honestly, all 4 goals were pretty solid from the perspective. Like I think the third goal was like a sick pass or whatever. Like there was some really, really good goals in this one. And Mosquera's goal probably would have been maybe that may have been the top, goal from this game if it wasn't for the Asprilla bicycle kick. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Portland just kind of turned it up there in the last 20 minutes. I worry that it might not be sustainable, because if this was a game where they came out, and honestly, like I would say maybe Galaxy's performance is a little bit more sustainable and a little bit more positive than Portland's performance.
Really?
In this match, because it didn't happen for 20 minutes. I think the Galaxy played relatively well for all 90 minutes. Basically, there was a 10-minute lapse really that they didn't play well in. Yeah. And other than that, they played well and there was good signs. Portland looked in shambles at home in front of a sellout crowd for 70 minutes. And then after the kick, they kind of turned it on. So I don't know if they found enough in this match to catapult them and sustain this for another match and start to go on a little bit of a run here. But I will say that a win like that can catapult the season and give the team a lot of confidence. So from a confidence perspective, it may help, but I don't know if it's sustainable or as sustainable as I think maybe the Galaxies could be, because it didn't happen for basically a majority of the game and they were just dominated for a majority of the game. So
solid point. Yeah. I hadn't framed it like that, but yeah, I mean, do you want 20 minutes of exceptional football, or do you want a full 80 or full 90? I mean, and the Galaxy did play overall better for longer stretches of time, and these, Portland was dead in the water at the 70th minute, So then, hey, bicycle kick, that'll do it.
Yes. No, for sure.
Can we appreciate real quick? Sorry, can we appreciate the the beautiful visual aspect that was the game because they were both wearing those gorgeous kits. I mean, Portland
Yeah,
has their rose kits.
Honestly, like I kind of like Seattle's green kits a little bit better, but
Yeah,
it's like the kits are so cool. They're like so different, which is really nice. And I mean, like I said, Portland Stadium is unbelievable. Like that is just such a cool stadium.
Huh.
Like the way the crowd is over that big wall on the one side, like it's an awesome stadium. So, you know, it's just it was just a very, very visually appealing.
It's super appealing. I enjoyed it.
But let's talk about Seattle real quick before we wrap up the talk on this. Does this worry you? Is this result and the way the game went worry you when it comes to Seattle moving forward? The fact that they were able to dominate for 70 minutes, they brought in some players off the bench, and then things just absolutely fell apart.
Any team that has Jordan Morris, I'm always going to worry because he's, not a reliable, not available. But no. In real talk, like it's Seattle. They're still tops. They're still leading. They're still a great team. And this to me is more a product of a team stepping up in a rivalry moment and really just finding that spark and building, that instant momentum and snowballing that into the end of the game there, then Seattle not performing. This is no, man. If this had happened, let's say Seattle was going up against I don't know, Kansas City or one of these winless teams, and that happened there, then I'd be surprised. But this is huge rivalry game in a place that's very difficult to play against a team you had already lost 3 in a row to. I'm not worried if I'm Seattle. Seattle still played well. That's still a very well organized, very well run, and even Jordan Morris is pretty good. He'll get his goals. He'll play well. I'm not worried. I think it was more a product of the moment and the circumstances than any long-lasting effects on the Seattle end.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think with this one, it's, if that bicycle kick doesn't go in, I don't know if Portland's able to build this comeback. Like Seattle was just playing so well, and I think the bicycle kick was just such a shock, and it shocked the energy into the stadium.
Yeah.
I think that just ended up being the factor that determined the outcome of this match. But I'm not really worried about Seattle. I think Seattle's going to be just fine. They have, they lose 1-4-1. The scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. So,
yeah.
I think next match, I'm not sure who they play off the top of my head, but they should be. I think they'll be all right.
What if it had been a tap-in goal? What if it was like a tap-in? It wasn't a bicycle. Would the game have stayed like 1-1 or 2-1? Could they have? I think they still would have built off the momentum.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say the 2 other goals, the 3rd and 4th goal, were strictly just effects of the bicycle kick. I think it was just that momentum, just like a sonic boom happened, and it carried over into 2 more goals. I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, I think it's just they caught a whiff of it and they just hit it in an overdrive, and just Seattle was shocked. I think they just got shocked. That's really what it was.
Speaking of, Seattle's at home against Minnesota this week, and Portland is Portland at Cincinnati this week.
Interesting. Both very interesting matchups because Minnesota coming off of a 2-game, I think they're a 2-game losing streak now. They've lost 2 in a row. And Cincinnati, which we'll talk about right now, another game that was just a shocker, I think, for many people. Cincinnati's been stringing together 1-0 victories. They lose this one 5-1. And this one had everything in it because this game was already delayed because I think there was tornadoes in the area and really bad weather in the area.
Yeah.
This game was supposed to be started, I think, at 8:30. I don't think it got started till 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And then once it got started, which was about the time that all the 7:30 games ended, Apple TV just went down. Just shut down. There was this Apple TV. You couldn't log in. It said you weren't subscribed. And I'm like, I was trying to watch the Portland. The only game you could watch was San Jose versus Kansas City. And I turned it on, and Kansas City got a red card, and San Jose was already up 1-0. I was like, what am I watching this game for? But eventually it got fixed. And by the time it got fixed, I think it was already 2-0 St. Louis. They absolutely dominated this game. And it was a big game for St. Louis because they were on there they won the first 5 matches. They lost the last 2. And it was a moment against a very good Cincinnati side. Let's not take anything away from them right now. This is a very, very good
top 4
side.
Yeah.
But they did not they have not been scoring goals, and in this match they couldn't bring it, and St. Louis was able to respond to losses against a very good team and a very good defense. They were missing some players, obviously, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. Brenner is expected to be moving to Udinese, not now, but he was not in the squad for this matchup. And Lucho Costa was not in the squad for this match. It was only Brandon Vasquez. But Pat Noonan was making no excuses. With the players that were on the field, he said this team should have performed better. A 5-1 loss to St. Louis is unacceptable, no matter where you're playing, no matter the circumstances.
Yep.
But my question to you, while we still are on St. Louis, are they legit now? Because they've got the 5-game winning streak. They lost 2 matches. They were able to bounce back against a really good side at home. Are they legit? Are they a legit threat to win the West? What does this prove about St. Louis?
It's proven that I have no reason to doubt this team anymore. Like I've been trying to find a reason to write them off. Expansion squad, learning curve. Oh, they played some teams, Austin in that first game. Well, first game, they caught them off guard. The Charlotte game, trying to make excuses, but I'm looking at these wins, man. They're not just regular wins. They got dominating wins here. Okay. 3 goals against Austin, 3 goals against Charlotte, 2 goals against Portland, 3 against San Jose in a shutout, 4 against Salt Lake in a shutout. Their one loss, the first loss was at home against Minnesota. It was a penalty kick. Defense was still good. The last week or the week prior, 3-0 at Seattle. That was their come down to earth moment, I thought. But then how do you come down to earth and bounce back so quickly? And Cincinnati, top 4 team. You put up 5 against them. I got no worries about this team. This team is going to be a contender all the way through, and I expect them to be in the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if they're going to be able to pass or beat LAFC just yet, but right now, them and LAFC are the hottest teams in the West. They're the most consistent. Seattle, we saw what happened. I know it was a rivalry game, but Seattle has 1 game like this. St. Louis has like 3 or 4 games like this already with 2? They have 2 games with 5 goals already? No.
Yeah, I believe they have 2 games with 5 goals.
No,
already.
4 goals and 5 goals and a 3-0. They're putting it up consistently. That offense is clicking. There's something in the water in St. Louis there. João Klaus is just, and Lovren, they know their roles, they know their assignments, they know where they need to be. The strategy is there. They're well coached. They have a great fan base. It's popping, man. It's popping. It's popping right now the same way it was for like Austin last year, where they found that lightning in a can and they really rode it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. I think St. Louis can be that team this season. They're that good.
Yeah, and they have the best goal differential in the entire league, the most points. They're currently on top of the Supporters Shield standings.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been very, very good. And I think, again, the reason I asked this question to you is because for me, this proves that they're legit. They went on a 2-game losing streak, and they came back home in a very difficult matchup, a matchup that had everything. The storms, I'm sure, did not help. The delay did not help. The fact that they're playing a top side is always going to be difficult. They're coming off the 2 losses, and they went out there and they absolutely dominated them for 90 minutes. Yeah. I mean, yes, there was a fluke goal. Celentano, one went off the back of his head.
Yeah, but then it was over.
At that point, the game was the game was over. But it was at one point it's 5-0, and this is, this was a statement win for St. Louis City, because I think now we can look at them. We could say they've weathered the storm of the losses. They've won big matches. They've lost, and they've come back and won a big match. And now let's see what they can do the rest of the season. They have not played LAFC yet, and their only other match against the other top side, Seattle, or only other match against a top side in the West was against Seattle, and they lost that 3-0. They also lost to Minnesota 1-0, but they
won in Portland 2-1.
They won in Portland 2-1. They won in Austin 3-2. I think we could say that this one was not about luck. This was a dominant performance by St. Louis City, and it was, they deserve it, and they're legit. And I think also credit to the fans in this one as well, because they stuck around.
Yeah.
There was still 20,000 people rocking that stadium at 10 p.m. 9 p.m. over there when that game started. There was still 20,000 people rocking that stadium, and they got exactly what they wanted when they came there. So really good stuff from St. Louis. On the Cincinnati end of things, I do have a question for you. And Brenner is now moving. The reports are Brenner, the agreement between Udinese and Cincinnati is complete. The deal will be done sooner rather than later. He will move in the summer.
Yeah.
It's a move that is expected to be in the top 10 of most expensive outbound transfers, which will mean double digits, because the least expensive is 9.5 mil in the current top 10. So my question to you is, this is a Cincinnati team that's still struggling to score goals. We've talked about Brandon Vasquez already. Is the pressure of being the number one guy at Cincinnati, everybody now looking to him to go and then be the number one guy for the U.S. men's national team, is the pressure of that getting to Brandon Vasquez? What is wrong with Brandon Vasquez right now?
If it's not getting to him, it might soon be. But if you ask him, this is the moment he's been waiting for. This is the moment when you're a guy, an elite athlete, and the spotlight shines on you. This is why you play the game. This is why you want to be the best. No one says, "Hey, I want to be, a mediocre guy in Portland," or "I want to be, middle of the road in any professional team at any level." Brandon Vasquez has aspirations to be the number one guy in USA, be that number 9. He wants to be the guy to take Cincinnati to the promised land. And right now, he's going to get his opportunity. It's a little concerning because he's been struggling so far this season up until this moment. You'd like him to be more, snowballing into momentum, into something better, so that he can really take this moment and carry it on. But at the end of the day, if you ask him, he's going to tell you, I'm ready. I wanted this. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life. I'm going to do this. I'm ready for it. I don't think he's going to shy away from it. I am a little concerned at where we were and where we're coming from, but we won't know. We're just outside that cusp of knowing exactly, like, hey, is he handling it? Is he gonna be able to pull this off? I mean, he's 24 years old only, man. He's still a young guy with a lot of aspirations. But yeah, 1 goal, 1 assist so far in MLS this season. That's not what you want to see going into it. You're going to turn over all your goal scoring, expectations to this guy. He's got 1 goal and an assist. Okay. Yeah. But you're still sitting in a good spot. If you're Cincinnati, you're still top 4 in the East, or number 2 in the East, actually, or tied for first. Actually, my apologies. They're actually even better than I thought. So I think they'll be okay. I like him. There's something about his personality. I think he has the right mental fortitude and the right attitude about these things. Like when he was talking to Lizzie about not being called by a Mexican team, he was just like, hey, this is the team that wants me. This is who I'm going to go with. I'm USA. Like he understands what's in front of him. And I'm cheering for the guy. I'm legit cheering for the guy. I want him to succeed. I want Cincinnati to do well, and I want Brandon Vasquez to do well. But I think we're right on the cusp of learning, but I don't think he's going to shy away from it.
Yeah, I think, I want him to, as a U.S. men's national team fan, I want him to succeed as well, of course. But, we need to see a product on the field, and what are we, 8 games in now? I think he could have gotten off to a better start, but like you said, it might be a little too early to tell right now. I think maybe it's getting to him a little bit, just the pressure of trying, he had the good season, and now the pressure of trying to replicate that season. Replicating the season is always harder than actually the first season. Because, you come onto the stage, it's easy. Everybody's just like, oh, wow, he's scoring a lot of goals. This is great. But now his second season, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows, they're doing work on you. There's tape on you. So I think a little bit that's getting to him, and now we have to see how he adapts to it, because that's going to be a big factor, because this MLS, I love MLS, but playing in MLS and against St. Louis City and playing for the U.S. men's national team against England are two completely different things.
Yeah.
And wanting to play in the Premier League are two completely different things. And if you want to continue, I think that's the other thing is there were links of him going abroad this off season, and they didn't happen. And I think maybe that might also be in the back of his head as well. Is just
he's young too. It's okay to feel like that.
And I want to be good enough to play over there, and I want a deal to get done. And he's probably got a lot of pressure on himself right now. No pressure that he probably hasn't felt for a large majority of his career. So, I think there is a little bit of pressure there, and I think it might be getting to him a little bit. But now it's time to see if he can adapt to it. The next, probably, I think we'll know the biggest thing about when we'll find out the most about Brandon Vasquez is when Brenner leaves in July. When Brenner leaves in July, can Brandon Vasquez be the guy, the only guy for that Cincinnati attack, minus Lucho Acosta, who is basically the creator? So that will be the
I agree. In July, we'll definitely know, but I think we're going to get a little taste of it now because looking at the schedule, looking ahead here, Cincinnati's home against Portland this week, right? Then they have a Wednesday match against Louisville City in the U.S. Open Cup. Then they travel to New England to take on a battle of the top two in the East. And then DC United comes in, who's hot right now. DC United's playing a lot better. DC United is going to come in after that. And then they'll have they'll have 3 straight home games, actually. They have DC United, Montreal, which is, unfortunately they're wishing it was 2022 again. It's not a good time to be Montreal, and Columbus. So you got teams up there in the East. You got the matchup against Portland. You got one easy game there, really, against Montreal. That's it. Then you got 5 hard games and throw in an Open Cup game. We'll see. He's going to be challenged, and he's going to be asked to step into it a lot. And if he gets through this little gauntlet of games here, then I think come July, it'll be a little even easier for him. And I think it's only going to help him. But you got to get through these next games. This will be very telling, but we're all cheering for him. We want that number 9 savior in the USA shirt to start, showing himself. And I'm hoping it's him.
For sure. Now, I mean, we've kind of exhausted MLS at this point. We talked about Let's go. We do need we're running a little long here. So we do need a little bit, need to talk a little bit of Liga MX and NWSL. So we'll run through that. Just a couple things real quick. It was a big weekend in Liga MX. There was a lot of upsets, a lot of good games, a lot of red cards. Most notably, in my personal opinion, Club America beat Cruz Azul, which was very disappointing. This is the good part about Lizzie not being here, because this would have been rubbed in my face for 15 minutes. So it's a good thing that Lizzie's not here. No, Cruz Azul had the lead in this one. Got a red card. The second half was, dominated by Club America. They win the match 3-1, which is a very important thing to note because there was a lot of upsets all around the league this week. Monterrey, who has been the best team in the league by far all season, lost to Santos Laguna 2-1. That's their second loss in a row now. Their lead at the top of the table dwindles to just 4 points over Club America. Funes Mori picked up a red card in this match, which means he'll miss the next match against Mazatlan. And there's only, like I said, they're only 4 points up on Club America. Toluca also lost to Pumas 3-1, which is the team that Monterrey have to play after they play Mazatlan in the final game of the season. The win put Pumas in a playoff spot. And now they have 2 games to remain there. Again, their last game is against Monterrey. Pachuca falter again. They lose to Atlas 4-1. And then not much of an upset, but Chivas did beat Leon 2-0. A big win for them. And then Querétaro 0-0 tie with Tigres, which is their 5th match in a row that they failed to win. That's basically the wrap-up of all the scores. But as we go through, that was week 15. We have 2 weeks left. As we look at the table in Liga MX, like I said, Monterrey is 4 points up on Club America. They're also only 6 points up on Toluca. Which is important to note because this could come down to goal differential in the end. And it could be goal differential with Club America, or it could be goal differential with Toluca. And if Monterrey loses the next 2 games, Toluca wins the next 2 games, and Club America is either wins both games or wins a game and ties a game, it's possible that they're all tied at the top with 34 points.
Yeah, and interesting.
America's tied at the top, and Toluca and Monterrey are tied for second. It'll come down to goal differential, and in that case, there's not much separating them.
No. I'm looking at this table, and it's a lot closer than I thought. Yeah.
If those 2 teams get wins, and Monterrey loses, there's a chance that if Monterrey loses the next 2 games, they can find themselves in 3rd place going into the playoffs, as opposed to 1st place when they've been dominating for weeks on end.
That'd be
my
one
question to you, as we talk about this as a whole. Is there any, I mean, we talked about this last week, but it seems like a much more real possibility now. Is there any realistic possibility you could see Monterrey failing to win Liga MX in the Clausura this season?
Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? No. Percentage likely 3.7% possibility right now. I'll give it that. If you want a number, 3.7% that it could happen for Monterrey. This would be a monumental collapse, like that of this. I can't even compare it to any other collapse. I don't know if I've recalled anything. This team was 11-1-1 2 weeks ago, right? Dominating through everybody, and now they're 11-1-3, back-to-back losses. I don't see how that can be stretched to 4 losses, barring some horrific injury, some catastrophic collapse. No, I don't see it. Where I think the real battle is going to be Toluca and America and Club America battling for that 2nd place and, a little better seeding in the playoffs, I'm assuming. So Monterrey, man, if they were sitting at 4 losses right now, which would take away 3 points, which would have them at 31 points, then we would really have an interesting. But 2 games with 2 games to go, 4 points up is usually you're good. You're gonna be fine.
So I would agree with you. I think that Monterrey should be fine. It would be a monumental collapse if they do lose, or if they do lose this lead. They can wrap it up this week with the win against Mazatlan. That's all they need to do. All they need to do is beat Mazatlan, and they have wrapped up the top spot.
The worst team in the league.
The worst team in the league, yes. They have to beat them. But if they don't, I think there's a big the fact that they don't have Funes Mori for the next match is a problem. He's their leading goal scorer. That's a problem. So that's already a mark against them. Club America and Toluca have relatively easy schedules. Club America will play Pumas and will play Juarez, and Toluca will play Juarez and Necaxa. And of those teams, just Pumas is in the is in a playoff spot right now. So again, Monterrey has to play the worst team in the league and has to play Pumas, but I would not want to play Pumas in the last game of the season, needing a result when Pumas also needs 3 points to make the playoffs. So this week is a really, really big week because I genuinely think if Mazatlan beats Monterrey this week, or even ties Monterrey this week, and Club America wins this week, I think Club America wins the Clausura regular season playoffs, or regular season title, and will then be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs.
Hold on, let me see. I feel like
that's my personal opinion.
I feel like I'm freaking out way too much for a team that has no chance whatsoever. All right, Mazatlan last season, the Apertura, they were horrific. 3-8-6. They were not any good. This season, the Clausura, 2-1-12. No, I'm not going to get worried. I'm not even going to begin to insert some weird collapse fear for Monterrey. And I'm not even a Monterrey fan. I was, Pachuca's my squad, but no, man, Monterrey, like Dude, if they lose, then they deserve to lose. If they lose or they don't get a point, or they even if they draw against Mazatlan, then they deserve to lose. And I'm gonna be. Then you know what? I might be cheering hard for Club America and Toluca to pull it off. I would want to see chaos. I don't have any
ultimate chaos.
Yeah.
Best case scenario for those who are not Club America Monterrey Toluca fans is Monterrey loses the next 2 matches. Club America wins and ties, and Toluca wins 2 matches, and they're all tied at 34 points at the top.
Lovely.
And then it comes down to a sick goal differential.
Yes.
Goal differential tiebreaker. And just for those who are wondering, the goal differential right now, Monterrey is at plus 16. Club America is at plus 14. Toluca is at plus 12.
Yeah.
Chivas is also tied at 28 points with Toluca, but it's unrealistic that they will be able to make up the ground because they only have plus 6 goal differential.
Yeah.
And making up that ground would be near impossible. So
I mean, they'd have to have some St. Louis City games here, some 5-0 here back to back.
They'd have to rip apart the teams that they play, and they play Cruz Azul, and then they play Mazatlan. So
we can't have that.
Those are the 2 teams that they have left on the schedule. So they'd have to have a real miracle to win it. But yeah, I do think Club America just needs. I mean, it all depends on what Club America does, really, because a tie gets you through if you're Monterrey, but you won't have that luxury going into that match because you play on Friday and Club America plays on Saturday.
Yep.
So it's not going to matter. So you go into that match and you say, we need to win this match because the win secures you the title, but a tie and you're sitting there sweating the Club America match because a tie can get them through if Club America happens to lose. But this is going to be an exciting finish. I think just more exciting than anybody expected. I mean, for weeks we've been saying Monterrey is going to win this one, and it was going to be by landslide. They haven't looked bad at all.
Well,
and here they are looking like they might. They're on the brink of collapse. They're not there, but they're kind of teetering a little bit.
Well, let's looking here. The game's gonna be Friday, April 21st, 9 p.m. on VIX, Deportes 3 and 2DN. It's gonna be there. So tune in, 9 p.m. Wear some purple. Looks like that's Mazatlan's colors. Yeah.
Yes.
So. Hey, what can happen? We don't know, but let's why not? Let's go for chaos, man. Let's just blow the whole system up. A little anarchy. I'm down for it, man. Why not?
Yeah, I would love it. It would be awesome. It would lead into everything that Lizzie has ever said about chaos in Liga MX. It would be amazing.
That'd be a great first season for you too, to have been following it all season and then have this ending. Like, whoa, what the heck?
And we get the playoffs after that?
Yeah.
Come on. It would be great. It would be awesome. And then let's move on. We talked about Liga MX. Let's move on now to NWSL. The NWSL has been going on for a few weeks now. They've completed 3 matches. The table looks like this. Portland leads with 7 points. They're tied with Washington Spirit on 7 points, but lead them on goal differential. And then the round out of the playoff spots is San Diego, the All Rain, Gotham FC, who's had a very awesome start to the season after their not so great campaign last season. And then Houston Dash round out the top 6. There was chaos all over the league. Talk about a Liga MX chaos. There was chaos all over the league and NWSL as well. NWSL actually had broadcasting problems as well. They didn't see the first 40 minutes of the Gotham City match, but that didn't matter.
Yeah.
For the Gotham match, because that didn't matter because Gotham scored both their goals in the 10th minute and the 17th minute of stoppage time to beat Orlando 2-0. Those are the latest goals. The 10th, my throat is been talking so much here. The 10th minute stoppage time goal was the latest in NWSL history. And then the 17th minute then topped that 10th minute one to be the latest in NWSL history. So 2 extremely late goals in that one. And then Angel City roared back from 2 down to get a point against Racing Louisville. So a lot of excitement since we've talked. Mallory Swanson has suffered a major injury for Chicago Red Stars. So that's a big loss for them. But at the same time, Chicago did get a 4-2 win this weekend against a Kansas City side who many were expecting to be very good again this season. With all of that said, we are still early in the NWSL season, but Challenge Cup starts this week. And with that comes new rules and a new Challenge Cup. So let me just explain that a little bit. All 12 teams will participate. 10 of the 12 start tonight in their matchups tonight. There's a new format with the tournament being played fully in the regular season. At times it was a preseason tournament, stuff like that. Now will be played fully during the regular season. The tournament split into 3 groups of 4 teams each. It's a 6-game double round robin. So each team will play each other 2 times. So they'll play the other 3 teams 2 times. The top team from each group will advance, and then the best second place finisher will advance to the semifinals. Semifinals will be single elimination. They'll take place on September 6th, and the final takes place on September 9th. There's no extra time, just straight to penalties if the semis or the final are at a draw at the end of regulation. And finally, it'll be a $1 million prize pool, which will match up about equally with what the MLS's back preseason or COVID tournament was when the MLS had that tournament. So with that said, knowing all that, knowing everything you know about the MLS right now, Edwin, your thoughts on the Challenge Cup and your predictions. Do you have a winner for this year's Challenge Cup?
Overall, I think the cup idea is great. I'm all for it. Any type of excitement, interest that you can generate into your league is a plus, especially for a growing league. As much as, NWSL has grown, it's still growing. I know they got added into FIFA. They're getting a lot more publicity. A lot of these European teams or players are starting to look at it as a destination. I like it. I'm all for that. Now, if it doesn't work, then, I'm also all for scrapping it and trying to do something else or, changing it. So I'm very flexible when it comes to that, but I wish it success. But as far as a team, I mean, you got to go with a team like Portland. The Thorns always are going to be someone that that's going to challenge that, defending champions. They got a loaded roster. You know what you're going to get with Portland. They got San Diego. They're at San Diego Wave FC tonight, 10 p.m. I like Casey Curran. I like the girl who did the twerk celebration. That she pulled the hammy last season, and then she went that. I'm all for that. Her name escapes me. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. But she won my vote. I thought that was good. Maybe a Casey Curran fan just on that alone. So that's who I got maybe going for.
Yeah, I think I'm debating here because I want to pick San Diego Wave, but they're gonna have to be they're gonna have to, if they have to deal with Portland, that's gonna be a difficult matchup for them. Meanwhile, Kansas City sits with Houston. Kansas City hasn't been great this season. A lot of people have predicted them to win. You know what? I got my team.
Yeah,
I think I have my team.
What's your team?
I think I am going to go, despite their shaky start to the season, I am going to go with Angel City. That's what I'm going with this season. I think, a new side. They're looking to make a name for themselves. LA. I'm going with the LA theme that we have here. The LAFC is on fire right now. Angel City is going to be on fire too. I like them. I think that they can benefit from the situation they're in, and I think it would be. I think it's going to be. I think they'll make a little bit of a run. It may not be because it's a little bit broken up. All the games will take place from mainly from June to like the end of July.
Yeah,
you'll get a few players that'll leave for the World Cup, and Angel City doesn't have a ton of like World Cup level players, I don't think, on their team, or players that have been called up by the U.S. men's national team a ton on their team. So I think that might be able to play into their favor. So I'm going to go with Angel City. I'm going to go with a little bit of the underdog.
Okay.
I want to go San Diego Wave, but be in the same pool as Portland is tough. That's going to be a tough one. And if if Portland happens to be the best team in that division, and you happen to be the second best team, or the best second place team, You're gonna have to play Portland again. It's not a good recipe for success in a tournament like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Angel City, and that is going to be my call.
I'm gonna change my pick. I'm going full KC. Her name's Labonta. I'm just gonna go with the last name. It's LO''EAU. I'm horrible at pronunciation of names. That's her first name.
I might be wrong too in this because the tables are not popping up for me, so I have to figure out what exactly.
Oh, I have the tables. All right, I had the tables here for the group. Yeah.
So yeah, I have to figure out the NWSL table because they're not popping up on FOTMob. But if Angel City is not in the same group as everybody else, then that's what I'm picking. If they are, then I'm gonna go.
Angel City. It says here Angel City's with Portland, San Diego, and OL Reign. That's what I'm
okay.
seeing.
Yeah, so we're gonna switch our pick then because I thought they were in a different in a different league. So okay. So now looking through it, I'm not picking Portland because I won't pick the same as you. But
no, I changed it. You can have Portland. I'll give you Portland. I'm all in. KC Current, baby. Labonta. I'm twerking all the way to the finals. When they win it, I will do a twerk video and post it on. I will do the twerk celebration. I'll go out to the pitch, and I love the fact that it was a fake hammy. Ow, penalty, ow, and then bam, bam, bam. Like, loved it. That was great. I'm all for it.
I think you know what I'll. Man, it is hard. It's gonna be a hard one, but if you're not gonna take Portland, I'll take Portland. That'll be my team.
Yeah.
I love Portland. I mean, obviously, don't love everything that's happened with Portland over the past year and some. All the reports that have come out. That's obviously,
they got some black eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. Never a great thing, but I do love the players that they have on that team. Sam Coffey. They have Sophia Smith, Crystal Dunn. I think. They have some really, they have some ballers on their team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I love Portland. So I'm going to go with them. I think they go out there. I think they do the domestic double. They win the NWSL and they win the Challenge Cup. So that's my
nice.
That's my.
I got to get me that KC Current number 10 jersey for Labonta. That's my girl, man. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name. If I'm not, my apologies. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm very suckered into like advertisements and like funny things that'll get me drawn in or like viral things. So once I saw that celebration last season, I was like, yo, and what I loved is that everybody's copied it. She was the OG. Everybody's copied it. I've seen it in the NFL and other leagues and other sports. No. That's the OG. Give it to her. So KC Current for the Challenge Cup prediction pick. So we'll see.
There we go. I like it. All right. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this thing up? I think we're all good. I think we hit every single thing you could possibly hit on.
Every single thing. See, this is the problem with Lizzie. It's a little quicker episodes. With me, I tend to ramble. I apologize in advance, but we'll work on the length here. We'll make it a little better and quicker. But yeah, no. Hey, thanks again. I'm looking forward to continuing to producing and making great podcast here every week in and week out, and also growing and having some guests on here. We're gonna keep making this a destination for people and a destination for people to listen to and watch. So let's have a great rest of the week, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. As always, make sure you follow the accounts. They're below. We also are on TikTok. We obviously YouTube where you're watching us. So make sure you follow all the accounts. Check out the 90min.com US page for all the content that we have putting out there with Lizzie and everything that's just going out on that page. We appreciate the support, and we will talk to you guys next time. Peace.
Adios.